Hey, Lovey, I'm so excited to share today's podcast with you and that the Angel Healer training is officially open. Yep, this is the program I run once a year and the doors are open. It is time for you to get in to this groove and lean into the confidence that you are supposed to be sharing your gifts with the world, to feel seen, heard, and awakened. It's time to immerse in all of the practical experiences, to evolve with the sacred teachings, and transform the mind, body, and soul. This is healing. This is how we go from being in the mundane into being the amazing soul that you are. Aligning with your soul's purpose without the uncertainty of going against God. That's what this is all about. And I know you're going to love this training. So it is time for you to say, yes, God, yes. Say yes to yourself and come in. This is your calling. So let's tap into today's episode with Stephanie Stanton talking about living in our own abundance. I know you're going to love this. Enjoy the episode.
So thank you so much, for coming in and doing a podcast with me, having this interview, sitting down. I love being in your energy, Stephanie. And I know that you're up to so many great things, many great things.
I'm so happy to be here with you. I'd love to play with you. Thank you always for asking me.
So I thought it would be so much fun today just to kind of catch up and see where you are. I know you're doing some new healing work, that you just finished another amazing training, and where that's led you. And you're such a manifester. So I thought it'd be fun to have a conversation and lean into, because it's really been lighting me up, my own method for manifesting. And I'm going to be sharing that in Angel Healer this year. I'm going to really teach about owning our abundance and the frequency and how it has to do with healing work. So
Can I just say something really quick? So the last conversation we had, I remember being parked in my car and you were just coming back from this amazing retreat you just did, business retreat, an inspiring retreat. And you were so lit up and your energy was so high. And I remember listening to you going, I want some of that. That feels so good. I need some of that. And I followed about a week later with an amazing belief coding session, which is this new modality I just studied, and it's amazing. And I felt it was I went right there with you, and I was it was so funny because I remember in that moment sort of talking to you, asking for that, and I felt that inspiration. So it feels fun to connect. And I feel like you and I always have these parallel pieces. We're both excited to expand our business, and we're both excited to give more and do all these cool things together. So it's just always fun when they line up.
It's like seeing when you pour the love into yourself, what happens not only in your own life, but as you're a healer, which you clearly are, and you're serving, right? And what happens for your people that are coming into your programs, how you go even further. And it all is a bravery, to take that step. And I call that my yes, God, yes. What do you call that? When you step into that something new?
I think it's more of I notice myself asking on a soul level, I want this, I want to feel this again, give me some of this, show me my next way of feeling it. And then I have to kind of let it go. And then
I love that.
When it comes in, it's my intuition will tell me this is my next big leap, is my whole body will light up. And I won't even be able to hear what people are saying. A program, I won't even be able to hear it because I'm just feeling this thing that's telling me, here's your next aliveness coming to get you. And I know that's my yes. But that was when I met you. You were a big yes in my life. And it's a fun way to receive guidance.
When she smiles at you, she'll say, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, no, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, no.
I know you never know where it's going to unfold, how God is going to unfold it until you and I love that you said that you reach for the I want to feel this again. Like you're asking for the goodness and you're expecting the goodness and you're believing that it's going to come to you. Like you don't have to do it. And I think this is where
I should say sometimes it also is connected to a catalyst, right? Like a deep flow, right? Like, let's be real, you know, we go up and we go down. And sometimes when I'm feeling, you know, overwhelmed or not inspired or not creative, it's that big longing to bounce back up, right? It comes from I actually think we go higher from those deeper places. Like, remind me what that feels like to be that.
Yes. But isn't it interesting? Like, and I can speak for myself, and I'm sure you probably have this too, like in the, you know, journey of healing, like in the different parts for me, like in the beginning, like I would go so low, but necessarily wouldn't come so high. I wouldn't make that leap back up as easy as I can now. But those lows don't necessarily feel like rock bottom as they did in the beginning. But they can be pretty low, right? They can they can be like
when we get to a place where we're residing mostly above scarcity or lack or in love, that, you know, even the little dips can feel like, oh my God, this is so uncomfortable.
Yeah. So fear really wants us to stay in that like boxed in phase, like, you know, those storylines, the old conditioning and the old beliefs. And that's where, you know, obviously our brain is wired to remember the things that we are feeling in our body tells the truth, right? And so if we're not feeling true, authentic, we don't believe in that beautiful experience for ourselves, it's not going to come.
And tell me if this has been your experience too, Jeannie, but like, I find that the bounce backs, right? The ones where I do sort of feel so much lighter and so much more inspired really is connected to like a deep release that contains some level of vulnerability. Like when I ugly cry to you over the phone, or I just go drive somewhere and I just rage, you know, like in my car, like some form of release, then the bounce up tends to
because it has to come out, and because energetically, frequency wise, right? If we are holding that emotion in, right, old emotions, it's just going to be there until we learn a way to release it. And so it might seem like that ugly crying or that scream is your frustration, but it really isn't. Like if you tap into like, oh, this has to be transmuted out of my body, like to back into love, and it can't do it without the external release.
I am actually proud to say when I'm on my couch in the fetal position, like crying my eyes out, that I actually do know, oh, this is going to be good tomorrow. Like, yes, so good, better. Like, yes. And you know, I think we always have catalysts coming to help us release, because life knows that's what you need. And if we can really take it as opportunities to go there, give ourselves safe spaces to go there, then we have a good bounce up.
Yeah. When I went to a retreat in California, I went by myself. There's a big, you know, thing, like I shared with you, for me personally, because it was me saying yes to me, even though it was really scary and out of my comfort zone. But I didn't look at the finances. I didn't look at the fact that my husband wasn't going to be there. I didn't look at being nervous at all. And actually, when I got on the plane, I started to get a little emotional. I started to feel a little like, what is it that I'm feeling? And I think this happens for healers a lot. Like you tend to not know what you're feeling when there's trauma on board and you have all those unexpressed emotions. And it takes you a few minutes, like if you stay with it, for it to come and make sense. And so that was something that happened for me. It was like, okay, I stayed with it long enough and it made sense. And then it happened again once I got to the retreat, because I walked in and I didn't feel good. Like, here's all these amazing women. I mean, like high vibrational business women and women looking for personal growth, and just it really, really incredible people that I knew in the program the coaching program I was studying in. And so I had to take a break. As soon as she like took a break for lunch, I ran back to my room and I got myself centered, and I found that I was living in an older version of me, the younger version of me, which was, and I call these soul fragments, where, you know, she didn't like to have new experiences because she couldn't control them. because she didn't always feel safe. Like you're going to be judged, you're going to get it wrong, you're not going to whatever. And so I was able to embrace her and hug her and have her come to join the party. I asked her, I gave her the space to feel that this was the way to be. And then from that part on, it was like an amazing, like simply amazing.
I love that you did that, because I feel like so many of us teachers, when we're put in the position of student again, and we're no longer leading, right? That sense of out of controlness can come really quickly, right?
Yes.
And I've heard that from so many of my clients too. Like, I love big groups of women when I'm running them. That is the scariest shit. And it's so very common, because there's a level of control when you're the teacher or you're the facilitator or you're the coach. But I love that you took that time to just give that like inner child or teenager just that love she needed to feel safe in that group.
Yes.
And worthy in that group. That's so beautiful.
And you know what I found? One, I found I wasn't alone in it. I found the other women that I was thinking were more advanced in their healing or were there for a different reason were feeling the same fucking thing. And number two, we aren't done with our healing. And I know this as a medium, but for some reason, I've held myself in this space that, you have to have it all figured out before this next level comes, before that. And during this event, I let go so much so that I saw that was an entrapment of fear. That was an entrapment of fear holding me in the same space, because no matter who we're looking up to, be it Oprah, be it the Pope, be it wherever you're looking, everybody's still healing. We're human. We're not going to be done until we enter the gates of heaven. And even then, our soul's still going to expand and it's still going to heal. And we're still going to do great work on the other side. I had a soul come through the other day who left very early and on their own accord, and was like so adamant that like it wasn't going to happen here. His great work was not going to happen in this lifetime because he couldn't get past all of the feelings and emotions and all the traumatic stuff. He just couldn't get past it. And so the drugs were his escape, and his way of serving is being on the other side, because he can do things that he couldn't do here. And so that's the reminder, right? Like, we get to choose, and that death isn't the end, and our loved ones are still here helping and supporting.
To be imperfect and to be
messy.
Another thing I'm seeing in comments and bringing forth in my clients, because it's in me too, that mirror, right? Of like, it can be just as safe to let people see my pain and to hold me,
right?
And to, burden people,
right?
And it can to carry everybody else and be the space of healing for everybody else. Like that has to be in balance. Like, we are only as good as we're allowing ourselves to receive as leaders. That's it. We need support. We need help.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of us women, it's really hard to ask for that. We just are so much more comfortable holding everybody else, and to be able to come to the table saying, I need it too.
Yes.
And I'm uncomfortable right now and I need support. And
and then we get in those fix-it modes, right? The fix-it modes, it's definitely something I'm very acutely aware that I try really hard to, I guess not try really hard. I actually, it's like, I just pride myself more on, am I listening and leaning in, or am I offering something am I just offering to offer? Because sometimes we can do that. We can want to be on the same page as that person, but we're not taking all of their energy and to listen and hear them and just hold space, because maybe they're processing, and especially when there's a lot of trauma involved, right? Yeah.
And now, thank God, working with you and learning more about how energy feels from moment to moment, I can recognize now where I'm pulling people to where I want to bring them versus just being with them. Like there's a feeling like,
because when they're
not ready to go there yet.
Exactly. Because when we're ready, we're ready. And it's hilarious. Like hilarious how my angels have showed me this, like even with my own self, like, all those times I was like, no, 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 before I started saying, yes, God, yes. All right. Yes. Yes. It was like that I did that to control. So I felt something. So I felt safe. And so that's a cue in that our younger version is on board. Right. So our younger version, our good girl version of ourselves, those soul fragments come on board so we don't have the same experience again. And so we get addicted to living in a lack mentality, in a fear-based mentality, of a victim mentality of, well, I'll never have that success, or I won't be that type of healer, or I can't end this marriage, or whatever the story is for ourselves.
And it's so, tell me if you experience the same thing too, but like when I read that in others, like it used to be like, the part of me that wanted to like remind them that, oh, that's a total lie, bullshit, illusion. And now when I hear it, I'm just like, okay, like that gets to be your choice. Like that gets to be your choice.
Right.
And I find that is so helpful for me to sort of reclaim my energy. And this is where the self-love really comes in, because before, I wanted to help everyone and teach everyone who would listen. And now I can really feel, again, thank you about me, when they're asking for it, when they're wanting to be brought there, when they're like, I'm ready, versus I'm choosing to stay in victimhood.
Right.
Because
that
secondary gain in that,
that resonance of love, right, is where your expansion is.
Right. And what I really want to make a point here is like that I actually honor that they're choosing that.
Well, because
I don't love it for them, but I honor that is their choice.
I literally just had this conversation with my daughter before we got on, that all souls come in to experience things, even the hard things. And so it's not like God is saying, oh yeah, these bad things are going to happen to you, but like there's energy and healing that happens. There's energy that shifts when we go through something big and expansive or low and scary. We can heal from that, and we can then become a version of ourselves that we really want to be, the version that we know that we really are, the one that we saw in the dreams and the desires when we were younger. But we can't get there without feeling things and healing things, and we can't heal things unless we feel them. So if we're addicted to micromanaging energy, shutting off, controlling, then the expansion isn't going to happen.
And it's funny because the reaction outwardly like changes. So like in the past, when I was still in like savior mode and wanting to help everybody, like there was, a frustration when people would cling to victimhood, I would have a reaction to it, like it was a little, sharp and a little angry because they were choosing that, and why would you do that, right? And from doing all the work over the past forever years of just of allowing myself to choose, I really now, when I can hear their choice and it's clear, you can feel their choice, it's clear, there's no reaction from it's like, okay, it gets to be soft, it gets to be, I love you anyways, it gets to be,
because and I hold you and I pray for you, and I hope you do the same for me, because it doesn't mean that it just means we're in a different space, in a different belief system, and it doesn't mean that we're better or worse. It just means that we're in a different space. If we hold that for each other, well, then we're holding respect, aren't we?
But it's so funny how it is just such a mirror of self-love, right? Like finding peace with my choices, whether they were good or bad choices, really like coming into like, it was all perfect, it was all divinely timed, it was all perfect, so theirs gets to be too. Like you said, the man who crossed over, that was his choice, and that gets to be perfect,
right,
despite it being painful.
Despite being painful. And this is a lot of what we do in the beginning of like Angel Healer, where we step into going into our own frequency. These are people that are saying yes, right? And they don't even really know what they're saying yes to. I think in my mind, it's just it's a yes to something's got to be different in my life, right? I'm ready for that more. I'm ready for that more. And so that's what we start doing. We start going into frequency. So energy work, healers, energy healers, it's first understanding frequency, that everything that we are is an energetic imprint. And when we start to raise our frequency, when we start to come into a different space, and we do that in many different modalities, many different ways, what starts to shift, and who we are begins to shift, and our identity changes.
I love that. And I really want to highlight too, like as an empowerment coach, like the biggest piece I work with clients is stepping into a new identity. And, you know, with Angel Healer, what they're saying yes to is not just being a helper to some people who don't even want their help, but really stepping into being the healer, working with angelic energy, seeing themselves as that powerful, that they can do that, like really stepping into that powerful place of connection with God, connection with divine energy. And that is such a pivotal step to make identity wise, of like, who do you want to be in this world?
Right, because who is your soul? And when you learn who your soul is through the exercises, when you tap into who God says you are, instead of versus the conditioning and the belief of what other people have said you are, all of a sudden, that's when things start to shift. And I'd see a lot of times that there's a resistance to that change, right? Because it can be scary, because then what's the expectation if I let go of that old identity, right?
Well, yeah, it's death to an old identity. So we have to, that's the whole experience. You think, what's happening to me, you know, and it's death to the small places that say, I'm not good enough to do that. No one will want that from me. Who am I to do that?
I'm so excited this year because of all of the yumminess that I've learned in the past 2 years, you know, from COVID on. I've taken so many different amazing trainings to just enhance who I am, to heal further. We're going to go a little further with Angel Healer. We're going to meet. We're going to do 6 virtual sessions before we have the immersive retreat.
Love that. Get them connected early.
Yes. And then I know you're going to be at the retreat. I'm so excited. And we're going to do some amazing healing things, and how to stay in the frequency. So, you know, those sound baths, and we're going to do some breath techniques. We're going to really break through some major barriers once we get there. So it's going to be, I feel for me, like a breakthrough Angel Healer. I don't know why, but it feels like, you know, well, this is like the 10th year I've run it. So it's going to be like, bam.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Crazy pants.
Isn't it? From the very first one I held here at my house around my kitchen table. Yeah.
If you could go back and tell that genie one thing, what would you tell her?
It's so funny because I was a little nervous, and I was a little I mean, not in the content, you know, because it was downloaded, but more in my ability to articulate what I needed to articulate. And I would make them little videos after the session and run through it. I think I would tell myself that you have no idea the impact that you're going to have. So just stay in that confidence, because it wasn't confidence for me then. And I just really wanted to give what I had received. And that's what was the most important thing. But I think I would say, like, this is about you just loving you. And the more you love you, and it's just, the rest is effortless.
Woo!
The rest is effortless. Like, it's not even about the content. If I can be honest, like, it is, but it isn't. It is about the energy. It's about the frequency that I hold when I'm there, and bringing them to have that holy experience.
That's what I was going to say when you were talking about, we're going to really hold the frequency with like song, or what do you say, bowls and other things. I want to be like, no, you hold the frequency.
I hold the frequency.
We're all coming to Genie, like that room, your paintings around the room, the way you set the intention for the space, you call in all the angels to hold space for us, and that's the frequency. And
you're right. And owning that has taken me a very long time, and I'm still kind of pushing it aside, but you're right. It's not the bowls. It's everything that we're going to do because it's guided, because it's been downloaded, and it's for those people that are there. So it's very unique. Like no two angel healers have ever been the same. And that's why they build off of each other. And
I really want people to hear the message that you just gave, which is that
who's interviewing who?
I know, but it's so good that it's not about being better at serving them or helping them or articulating to them. It's about getting as high vibe as I can, loving as I can, and letting them be in my space. Because that alone, that energy is healing. And I think as women leaders, that needs to be the message. It's like put everyone else down for the moment, get so clear on you,
so fucking groovy high in your soul alignment. Like that is your job. That's the only thing. That's your job. Everything else, put it aside. Hang out, go outside, love it, feel it, and then everything else is. And that's
we just need that role modeling of self-value, role modeling of high vibration, role modeling of unconditional love. That's what we need. That's going to change the planet. And instead of I got to do for everybody and I got to make sure they get there. No.
Yeah. I love that. It's so true. So over the summer, you know, I got to work personally with Kathy Heller. I don't know if you know her, but you guys, if you don't know her, go check her out. She's got a podcast.
2 of her videos yesterday.
It's like, don't quit your day job. Anyways, we were in one of the coaching calls, and one of the other women was like, well, can you just give me, I just want to know like the system I need to do. And she just started laughing, and I felt it. I was like, here we go. Here, Kathy's gonna bring it. She's gonna serve us. She's gonna put it right here. And she's like, I'm gonna tell you, there is not a method. And this is something that I put down, you know, a little over, I don't even know how long ago, but I put down like trying and methods and formulas because they're fucking bullshit. And so here she is, right? And she's like, there is not a method that's going to get you to where you want to be. She's like, I'm going to tell you right now, you can follow somebody else's formula and it's never going to bring you the joy as much as you just sitting for 20 minutes and getting yourself into that space and then filling up and believing the rest will come. Because if you are joy, it can't not come to you. Because you are literally a magnet, your energy system. But we get in our fight or flight, we get in our overdoing, we get in our caretaking, and that internal energy is what keeps us from receiving. And so it is
all over. I'm like, preach, woman. Yes.
It is a sexy woman who leans into a really sexy woman who leans into, I am the frequency of my highest self. I am in the frequency of my highest self. I love and appreciate all souls on this level, on every level, and I pray for them. So instead of feeling bad or guilty or like, oh, look at this homeless person, which by the way, I can tell you this great story. We met this homeless man in St. Augustine during our travels, and he caught my eye. I don't even know why. He was leaning against this brick wall down this alley, but that St. Augustine is like all these shopping, all these stores, and it was just like close to there. And there was something about him that I just felt God all around him. And he was making flowers and crosses and different things out of the palms, dried palms. And he had a dragonfly. I'm like, you made a dragonfly? He's like, I did. And he was like so proud that I noticed that it was a dragonfly, and I was talking to him and I'm like, this is a really incredible thing. And he didn't know, but dragonflies are my thing. They're my way of when I know God is really talking to me. And he handed me a rose with a dragonfly on it. And I just looked at him and I'm like, I see you, God. Like I see you in this man. And of course my husband, you know, handed him some money and I thanked him. And he wasn't about the money for him. It was about the gift and that I saw him as a human, as a soul. And he saw me, and we had this like little bond for a short moment. And when we got back to the room that night, because I'll tell you, further down the road on both sides, there's all these homeless people. There's a woman in a wheelchair, and they're sleeping on the side of the road, and they're just, it's just sad. And so I got back to the room, and I had seen this other woman talking to one of the homeless women, and she had said to her, no, don't feel sorry for me. God put me here. And it really struck me. And I thought, well, how brave it was of that woman to stop and talk to this group of people. Like, it was, I felt that was really brave of her, because it was kind of dark and she was alone. And so we got back to the room, and I said, oh, geez, God, I feel like I should have said something. I prayed, and he said, don't underestimate the power of your prayer. Don't underestimate what I've asked you to do and what I asked her to do. Don't judge yourself. And so I did right then and there. I started praying for them. And that's what I did. I just sent them love. And I think that's the biggest thing we can do, is when we feel bad or guilty, bring it right to God and hear what he's asking of you, instead of thinking you have to be like that other person. And that goes back to the systems that girl asked Kathy Heller for, because you can follow somebody else's way, but God will show you your own way.
I think that, as a teacher, you really embody like my two favorite things about spiritual teachers, which is one, that you see through the eyes of love. You really see people through that. And also that you're playful. And I think those two pieces give you so much power, so much, just good energy to just be in and discover in and be vulnerable in.
Yeah.
And
I feel it. I feel the same thing for you. And I remember when we first met, when we first started hanging out, and we were doing a little work together, and you had this little bit of, resistance towards religion because of some background stuff in your life. And like, when you got into the mastery and we started having those holy experiences, and I would just, kind of guide you and bring you guys into the veil, so you would have those expansive, you were right on channeling the Holy Mother, right on like receiving Mary Magdalene.
It's funny because I don't remember
Incredible.
I just had traveled to Medjugorje to see Mother Mary. I was open to that. What my resistance always lied in claiming an organized religion as my own, because that was a big part of my rebellious spirit, was I wasn't going to do it.
It's so funny,
but
because
God has, and Mother Mary especially, has been a part of my life, my whole life.
I think it was just maybe so energetically, because I feel it, right? And I think it was around the stuff that you were going through with your dad at the time. And so there was like, that was pulled away. And maybe it is about religion around that, but energy for me is the truth. Like, I said this all the time. My husband would be like, no, I'm fine. I'm like, tell me what's happening, because like literally in my body, I know there's something going on. Like, I'm trusting this more than your words right now, because this is my truth. This is my,
right. I can feel it. I know.
Yeah. Let's go there. All right. So let's talk for you. Because I know you're doing so many amazing things and helping women to get past their pain points, and you're using all your healing modalities in order to do that. It really is about them living the life of who they were meant to be, right?
Yeah, I just keep coming back to help them, like we were just talking before, get into their full power. Like, help them come into their full power, which means stop the energy drains that are going everywhere else, heal the things that are draining their energy on the inside. Full power. That's what and so, like we were talking before, that requires me to be working on my full power.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah. But I've been living it. I'm doing the coaching like I have for 15 years, doing the photography that I have for 20 something years, and then bringing in this belief coding, which is really helping, as you experienced doing a session with me, just really like get the subconscious on board, that we're moving forward.
Yes.
We just need to clear out what's been subconsciously holding us back.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that belief coding, because it's a lot like kinesiology. And so it's, I have my technique of doing that for myself, but I loved when we did that session, because one, it's so much better when somebody else is guiding you, and instead of you having to be in charge, which is so groovy. and a lot of fun. So I think we're gonna actually do part of that at Angel Healer at the retreat, right? You're gonna come in.
It's so fun to get your brain out of the way and let your body answer. Like it's so fun because you really can trust. Holy crap! Like I know so much more. There's a universal wisdom here that's so much more intelligent than I'm giving myself credit for. It's not just a great virus.
Yes. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, I'm really excited to have you back in the immersive, and
me too. I'm happy to be in that energy. I'm excited for the retreat.
Yeah, me too. Do you have any sessions, any offers coming up that we can share with everybody?
Well, always I offer a free call to a high vibe woman who's called to do some of that healing work. And you can find my booking link at highvibechick.com. So yeah, if you feel called, check it out.
Yeah, and we'll put all those links below. And thank you so much for coming on the podcast and hanging out with me. And I can't wait to be with you
in my life
in person November. Yeah, I know, right? All right, love you.
Love you.
Oh my gosh, so many great takeaways from today's session with Stephanie. Stephanie is an Angel Healer alumni, and she will be at this year's Angel Healer Immersive Retreat, which I know you're going to love. Details are on my website, geniestreet.com/Angel Healer Training. You're going to want to get in these doors because this training is absolutely incredible. And we're doing an early bird registration gift. So if you register before October the 3rd, you're going to get 6 additional sessions. This is going to be really incredible. Details are on the website, and I'll see you inside the Angel Healer Training. You know what I know, because angels don't lie. Have a beautiful day, my friend.